Sky Sports have just stated that Spurs remain hopeful about getting the Morgan Gibbs deal over the line. Football.London have stated that Forest may succeed in delaying this deal rather than preventing it. Fabrizio Romano has stated that Yves Bissouma will not be going to Fenerbahce. They are now looking at other options. Football.London have stated that Crystal Palace will want at least £100 million for Tottenham Hotspur transfer target Adam Wharton, which is unrealistic. The Football Insider have stated that Tottenham are still interested in Brentford star Wissa, and a former Premier League defender has stated that Thomas Frank will make Tottenham consistent. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another episode of Tottenham News, where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. If you do get a spare minute, please do vote for us at the Football Content Awards 2025. All of your support is really appreciated. Thank you. Let's start by talking about Tottenham Hotspur transfer target Morgan Gibbs-White and his possible £60 million move to Tottenham from Forest. Now, Morgan Gibbs-White was not in the Forest squad for the Nottingham Forest friendly away at Chesterfield on Saturday. It wasn't because he wasn't chosen to be in the squad. It's actually because he is not due back in pre-season training until next week due to international duties. Now, Football.London have just stated the current feeling about the Morgan Gibbs-White situation and his possible move to Tottenham is that Nottingham Forest may only succeed in delaying this deal rather than preventing it. Now, Sky Sports have just stated there are no new developments on the Morgan Gibbs-White situation right now as of Sunday evening, but Tottenham remain hopeful about getting this deal over the line. Now, in the last couple of days, there have been a lot of media reports and a lot of rumours about Yves Bissouma possibly leaving Spurs in this summer transfer window. Fenerbahce have been linked with the player, as have Italian giants Juventus. Fabrizio Romano on Sunday stated no active talks between Fenerbahce and Spurs for Yves Bissouma so far, as the Turkish side are focused on other targets. Now, there have been a lot of rumours and reports published about Tottenham being interested in Crystal Palace and England star Adam Wharton. Football.London have just reported it is likely that Crystal Palace will demand at least £100 million for Adam Wharton in this transfer window. And it is unrealistic that Tottenham will pay that kind of figure during this window. Adam Wharton being valued at £100 million, he is a player that has only played 36 Premier League games for Crystal Palace, 43 games in all competitions for the London side. He is just 21 years old. He has won one England cap so far in his career. Crystal Palace bought him from Blackburn Rovers in the January transfer window in 2024 for £18 million, rising to £22 million in add-ons. Now, since the summer transfer window opened, Tottenham Hotspur have been heavily linked to Bryan, Mbeumo and Yoane Wissa of Brentford. Now, the Football Insider have just reported that Tottenham's interest in Yoane Wissa does remain, but Brentford will only let either Wissa or Mbeumo leave, not both of them, in this summer transfer window. So whoever does leave first, the other one will stay. Now, former Premier League defender Rio Ferdinand has been talking about Thomas Frank and Tottenham next season. He said, Frank seems like a really calm, assured, confident guy. I think there is a group of players whose ears are open and they want to learn and be consistent. I'd be surprised if he does not deliver that, at least at Spurs. And lastly, at the time of recording this episode, we are now 6 days away from Thomas Frank's first game in charge of Spurs, which of course will be a pre-season friendly away at Reading on Saturday the 19th of July. 34 days until Tottenham Hotspur take on Burnley in our first Premier League game of the new season. And there is now only 50 days left of this summer transfer window. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode, and I'm going to start by talking about the Morgan Gibbs-White situation. It just seems a little bit silly at the moment because Spurs are there ready, waiting to pay £60 million. He has a release clause, £60 million. Spurs are there wanting to pay it. Nottingham Forest are very angry about how Spurs knew about that release clause. To be honest, I completely agree with everything that Football.London have stated, that this is just going to delay matters rather than actually preventing it. I can see that Morgan Gibbs-White will be a Spurs player in the near future. Who knows how long? This could take a day, 2 days, it could take a week, it could take 2 weeks. Who knows? But it doesn't help either club because Nottingham Forest could go and spend that £60 million in this transfer window. Yeah, I know there's 50 days left of the transfer window, but every single team needs to prepare for the best way possible for pre-season and, of course, the Premier League coming up. So Forest could go out and spend that money, but Nottingham Forest, let's be honest and frank about it, Nottingham Forest should have acted in a much better way, and they could have prevented this from happening because they could have given the player a brand new contract. Even Sky Andrew, the football agent on TalkSport, said that Nottingham Forest should have had better football people in that football club to deal with this situation because Spurs are there ready to pay £60 million. And tapping up, that term tapping up, it happens all of the time. How Spurs come to learn about the release clause figure, that is neither here or there. Spurs are there ready to pay the money. And from every report I'm seeing and reading, Tottenham Hotspur are very confident that this deal will go ahead, but it is just a matter of time. And they also believe that they acted in the right way. If someone has a release clause of £60 million and you've got a club there ready to pay that figure, what's the issue? What is the problem? But I just feel like Nottingham Forest are going to dig their heels in. The chairman, of course, isn't happy at all, but I can see this deal happening, but it's just going to be awkward for everyone, especially the player, because the player will be coming back to pre-season training this coming week. How is that going to be when he walks in? I feel like Morgan Gibbs-White will be extremely professional and he will still train with them. It'll be interesting to see if this does drag on and whether they do actually use him for any pre-season matches. That will be the interesting question and situation. Now, Fabrizio Romano has stated that Bissouma will not be going to Fenerbahce as they are now looking at other targets. As I've said on previous episodes, I do expect Yves Bissouma to head out the door this summer. Other reports have stated that Yves Bissouma has come out and said that he actually wants to stay at Spurs or indeed stay in the Premier League. So it'd be interesting to see whether a Premier League team does actually come in for him, because also we've seen other reports that Juventus were interested in Bissouma, but they didn't want to pay more than £13 million. And I've got to say, Bissouma is definitely worth more than £13 million in my opinion. Football.London, Crystal Palace will demand at least £100 million for Adam Wharton. He is just 21 years old. He's only played 36 games in the Premier League for Crystal Palace, 43 games for them in all competitions. He hasn't scored a goal, by the way, in any competition for Crystal Palace in the 1.5 seasons that he has been there. A very, very intelligent player, though, with great technical ability. £18 million he cost, rising to £22 million in add-ons. This is a player that we were linked to heavily at that time, and Spurs should have gone in then, and we didn't want to pay that money. And now, of course, Spurs are interested when he is being valued at about £100 million. I tell you what, a very, very exciting talent, but I don't think Spurs, even though we're splashing the cash at the moment, I don't think we're going to go anywhere near £100 million for Adam Wharton, which is a big, big shame because he is going to be a real star for the future. The Football Insider are stating that Tottenham are still interested in Wissa. This is going to be an interesting situation as well, because many reports from many reliable journalists are stating that Brentford are not going to be selling Mbeumo and Wissa in the same transfer window, and I completely get that, because if you are the manager or the owners of Brentford, you are not going to lose two of your stars in this transfer window. So it'd be interesting to see what player does actually leave first, and then the other will, of course, stay. Rio Ferdinand has come out and said that Thomas Frank will make Tottenham consistent. This is exactly what Thomas Frank is about. This is exactly what he is here for. He made his Brentford team in the Premier League over the last 4 years a very, very difficult team to beat, and that's exactly what he will make Spurs, in my opinion. So it's going to be an interesting start to the season. I'm very excited for the start of the season. I think it's about 43 days away until we play Burnley on the opening weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Very excited for the Premier League. But of course, we've got our friendlies first. Only 6 days away until we face Reading. It'll be very interesting to see how Thomas Frank sets up in his first game. I'm sure he'll give a lot of youngsters game time as well. Be interesting to see formations, style of play, and who he does use, and who he does give a lot of minutes to during the pre-season games. So it's all come around very, very quick, hasn't it? So but it'd be interesting to see this coming week whether we can complete that signing of Morgan Gibbs-White. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, if you do get a spare minute, please do vote for the channel at the Football Content Awards 2025. All of your support is really appreciated. Thank you. And stay safe and well. Have a great week. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.